Ever bump into someone at like the grocery store and their name just vanishes from your brain?
Oh, tell me about it. Happens to the best of us.
But today we're diving into the world of creatures who, well, they don't seem to have that problem.
Elephants, right? They're kind of famous for never forgetting.
That's the saying. But is it true? Do elephants really never forget? We're going deep on elephant memory today, separating the fact from, well, the elephant in the room, I guess.
It's sticky, that saying. Incredibly persistent.
So more than just a catchy phrase.
Oh, absolutely. There's a reason it's stuck around. Centuries even.
So what's the science behind the myth? What makes elephant memory so special? We've got research, expert opinions, even some pretty wild elephant reunions lined up today.
Should be fascinating.
It's all about the brain, right? Big brains, big memories.
You'd think, wouldn't you? It's not just about size, though. It's more. It's more about how it's wired, the software, rather than just the hardware.
Okay, so explain that.
Think about the hippocampus.
Yeah.
You know, that part of the brain, it's like our memory center, forms memories, stores memories. Well, in elephants, that area, it's exceptionally developed.
So not just a big brain, but a brain that's really, really good at remembering.
Exactly, like a superpowered memory center.
Okay, I'm following. But how does that actually play out, in the wild? What are we talking about here?
Let's talk about the matriarchs. The older females, the experienced ones, they lead the elephant families.
Right, the matriarchs. Heard stories about them, wise, experienced. Like, didn't they do that study? 2 elephants, Jenny and Shirley, reunited after like decades apart.
Over 20 years.
And they knew each other right away.
Instantly. Trumpeting, touching trunks, you name it. Researchers think they might even be able to keep track of like hundreds of individuals.
Wow, hundreds.
They think so. And get this, researchers in Unveiling National Park, they noticed the older matriarchs, they were much better at spotting danger.
Makes sense. They've seen it all.
Right. They lead their families away from threats. Remember the best feeding grounds. Even after years and years, it's like having a walking, talking library of elephant knowledge in the family.
So the more experience a matriarch has, the better she is at keeping everyone safe.
Exactly. It's a survival advantage, for sure. They can remember specific elephants even after years apart. Most animals, they can't do that.
Mind-blowing. So it's not just about social stuff, it's about survival too.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in places where resources are limited. Remember that drought in Tanzania's Tarangire National Park back in '93?
Vaguely, but refresh my memory.
It was really rough, a true test. The older matriarchs, who had lived through something similar decades earlier, they led their families to safety. Remember these distant water sources, like hidden oases?
Wow, so they had these mental maps passed down through generations almost. That's incredible.
It is incredible. It's like their memories are the key to the family's survival. Now, the younger matriarchs, many of them, they hadn't seen that kind of severe drought. A lot of their families, sadly, they didn't fare as well.
Wow, that really highlights how important memory is in their world. But it's not just droughts, right? I mean, elephants, they live in these huge herds.
Constantly on the move.
Exactly. How do they keep track of everyone? I could barely keep track of like 3 things at the grocery store. Imagine 30 other elephants in a herd.
Talk about a mental workout. That's where this concept of working memory comes in.
Okay, working memory. What is that exactly?
Think of it like this. Okay, imagine you walk into a room, you see a bunch of faces. Some you recognize instantly, some take a little longer. Elephants, they're doing this all the time, except with smells.
Smells?
Yeah, elephants have this incredible sense of smell. And it turns out they can use it to identify each other.
You're kidding. So they can recognize each other just by smell. How many elephants are we talking about here?
This researcher, Richard Byrne, did this amazing study, and well, get this, he used urine samples. And it turns out elephants can keep track of up to 30 companions just from their scent.
Urine samples. That's dedication to science right there.
And it gets even more wild. If they come across a scent they don't recognize, like from an elephant outside their family group, they get agitated. It's like their noses are constantly giving them a who's who update of the savannah.
That's insane. They're like walking, talking social media feeds.
It's an incredible social structure, really, and it all comes down to their memory.
So we've got these amazing memories, this complex social structure. It makes you wonder, where do elephants rank in terms of like overall intelligence?
It's a question researchers have been grappling with for a long time. And some of the research, it suggests they might be closer to us than we realize. Like, did you hear about the research with elephants and mirrors?
Elephants and mirrors. Okay, now that's something I've got to hear more about. This is where it gets really interesting. Elephants looking at themselves in mirrors? Okay, you've got to tell me more about this research.
So they set up this massive mirror, really huge, and they wanted to see how elephants would react.
Okay, and what happened? Did they just think it was another elephant?
That's what's so incredible. They didn't. They passed the mirror test.
The mirror test. Okay, for those of us who haven't taken a crash course in elephant intelligence, what exactly does that mean?
So passing the mirror test, it means the elephant understands that the reflection they're seeing, it's them. It's not another elephant.
So they have a sense of self, like they know who they are.
Exactly. It's a level of self-awareness you just don't see very often in the animal kingdom.
That is amazing. So it's not just remembering where the watering hole is or who's who in the herd. They actually have a concept of self.
It seems so.
It really makes you wonder, what else is going on in those incredible elephant brains?
Right. And what else might we discover about animal intelligence in general? I mean, we've only just scratched the surface.
Speaking of discoveries, you mentioned that researcher, Ian Douglas Hamilton. He had that incredible encounter with an elephant he'd known years earlier. Does that tie into this idea of elephants having this hidden depth?
Absolutely. Ian, he was studying elephants in Lake Manyara National Park. And he had this really special bond with one particular elephant. They'd even walk together in the wild.
Wait, hold on. They'd walk together like side by side.
Yeah, it was pretty extraordinary. But then Ian, he had to leave the park for a few years. And when he finally returned...
This is the part where I need, like, the movie music swelling in the background. Did they recognize each other?
It was like no time had passed at all. The elephant, she remembered him instantly. They went right back to their walks just like that.
Wow. I mean, I'm getting chills just hearing that.
It's powerful stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder about the nature of their relationships, the depth of their social bonds. I mean, to remember someone like that after all those years.
It's like that saying, an elephant never forgets. It takes on a whole new meaning. It's not just about remembering where the good food is or even who the dominant male is. It's about something deeper.
Exactly. And the thing is, this exceptional memory, this ability to remember specific events, even specific individuals, across decades, it might actually be an evolutionary adaptation.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about it. Elephants, they have these incredibly long lifespans.
Yeah.
They can live 60, 70 years, sometimes even longer. And their environment, it's not static, it's constantly changing. Droughts, floods, new rivals, you name it.
So remembering those past events, it's like having a survival guide.
In a way, yes. Having access to that library of experiences, knowing what worked before, what didn't. It could mean the difference between life and death, especially for a long-lived species like an elephant.
It really does make you think about that old saying, an elephant never forgets, in a whole new way. It's not just a cute little saying, is it? It's like fundamental to their whole existence.
It really is. Their survival, their social interactions, how they adapt to change, it all comes back to memory. I mean, it makes you realize we often think of humans as being, the memory champions. But elephants...
They give us a run for our money, that's for sure. Makes you wonder what else we might learn about them. What other surprises are out there in the animal kingdom?
Exactly. We still got so much to learn. And, it makes you realize how important it is to protect these amazing creatures, these amazing minds.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? The science behind elephant memory, those incredible stories of recognition. It's mind-boggling. Before we wrap things up, any final thoughts? What should we as listeners really take away from all of this?
For me, it's the wonder of it all. We always want to quantify intelligence, put it in a box. But elephants, they really challenge our definition of what intelligence is, what it means.
It's humbling, isn't it? We share this planet with these incredible beings, minds capable of such complex thought. And memory, it's a huge part of that. It's not just what they remember, but how they use it.
Exactly. To survive, to navigate their social world, to adapt to whatever life throws at them.
So we asked at the top of the show, do elephants really never forget? And the answer is?
Well, it's more complicated than a simple yes or no. And that's what makes it so fascinating. Their memories, they're not just about the past, are they? They shape who they are now, who they'll become in the future.
It really has been a pleasure taking this deep dive with you today. Thank you so much.
The pleasure was all mine. Until next time.